Kang, the setup, I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, was once again directed by Peyton Reed, this time written by Jeff Loveness, who, it's no surprise, is writing the Kang Dynasty amongst other things. Yeah, it's almost like he wanted to set up the character he's doing a big film of. It stars Paul Rudd, Catherine Newton, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, voice from David S. Malchin, Bill Murray appears. Yeah, there's so many people here who deserve better. Evangeline Lilly's in it. I mean, it's not one of those people I follow quite so much, but she even deserved better. And no one, I think, got a good treatment out. I mean, maybe Michael Douglas got a good deal because a lot of his stuff is just, I'm on a green screen talking to ants that aren't there. Fine, if he wants to get paid for that, cool. I'll accept that. But there's so many people here who really, really deserved better. Let's start with Paul Rudd. The film is called Ant-Man and the Wasp, etc. But Ant-Man is the core. That's the main guy. That's the guy we've seen through other films who, in those films, has been allowed to be funny and show Paul Rudd's comedic chops. And yeah, I've always said, give the serious roles to to comedic actors because timing matters both ways. And it's harder to get a dramatic person to do funny. But I don't think sidelining much of his humour, really, to basically the front and back of the film and maybe a couple of bits in the middle, but most of his stuff is super serious and heavy. It just doesn't feel right for the character. And yeah, it's just so much wasted potential here. It's become the thing of, whilst it's great that I can now walk down the street and say words like Ant-Man and Kang and Janet Van Dyne without people going, what the hell are you on about? Or Iron Man, Captain America, Guardians of the Galaxy. It's great that we can use these terms and mostly not get looked weird at. Although if you start randomly saying these things on a bus, apparently people don't like it. So I've heard. But I don't like the fact that this now means that it's a massive commercial enterprise and therefore profit. Because that's all this is. Setting up the next big Avengers thing is because they know that's what will bring people out most. They've looked at the figures back, and when you get the big ones that bring everyone together, that's where the money really, really hits. The problem is, though, all of the stuff that comes before is like homework before that. It's like pre-reading. You've got to know what happened in this film or that film so that the events of that one will make sense. So they've got you now. All those people who keep going and giving money, I think, are now in a, I kind of got to, because I'm along for the ride now. I can't not, because I'm not going to understand what's happening. Luckily in this household, we don't have Disney Plus for the Marvel stuff. We've got it for, the Fox back catalogue, for one thing now. But all these other stuff on there, it just happens to be that I can watch the Marvel stuff on there as well. Great. But that's why this took a while to get out. I wasn't in a place where I could justify going to see it when it was out first, and so I was like, I'll wait for it, it's fine. I've said before, I'm not chasing the algorithm. I'm not like, I've got to do all the tentpole releases because it's too stressful, too time consuming, that kind of stuff. But I still want to talk about them when I have something to say, and yeah, I'm so glad I didn't spend money and go out to an actual movie theatre or cinema, whatever you call it where you are, and sit there, because I would have felt like I didn't get my money's worth. And you can't, I've looked into this, you can't request a refund because the film was crap. Not from the cinema anyway. You might be able to write to Disney, I don't know. Someone try it. But the cinema's like, well, you sat through the screening. We've done our job. We screened a film that worked, or a movie, technically. It's not done on film anymore. I can't be bothered with that distinction, can I? I would have sat there, very upset that I've wasted my money on this, to be completely honest. I mean, yeah, Jonathan Majors, he was great in Loki as He Who Remains, and we're seeing what he was saying there in some ways. It's like, yeah, there's so many versions of me that I am not the bad guy here. And of course he was seen as a bad guy because he's taken control of the timelines, very similar in some ways to this Kang in this film, the Conqueror. But it was almost like, yeah, if you end me, this stuff happens, and therefore worse versions of me. And we're starting to maybe see that come through. I mean, the fact that this used itself as a vehicle, like the post-credits has been used before to set up what's coming, fine, I totally get that. But literally having a scene from the next season of Loki at the end of this, I can't say much more, really, without getting really angry. Actually, no, I can say one thing much more, and it will make me angry. I haven't mentioned the MODOK in the room. Now, whilst I'm glad that we got something like MODOK, And again, the fact that we can talk about MODOK now in the world, and people don't think we're quite as weird. But how they did it, just what the hell was going on with that? I love Corey Stoll. He's great in The Strain. He was okay as Darren Cross, and these kind of things. I think he's a decent guy. He seems okay. He deserved better. Everyone deserved better. What was this weird, squished, terrible CGI face? And I know people are very quick to be kind and say, well, COVID caused a lot of problems and caused things to be a bit weird for a while, but they've had time since COVID to make this work. I mean, I've seen theories out there that this was going to end on the downer, and I'd have been maybe happier. I don't know if that would have been the case, but then it was like, oh, we need to make it all saccharine sweet at the end so that, I don't know, whatever they want to do in the future. This was a disappointment to a lot of fans. I don't consider myself a Marvel super fan at all. I do not consider myself in that camp. But I'm enough of a fan that I feel cheated, even though I didn't pay anything extra to see it. I'm enough of a fan to feel that if this is how it's going, we need to start making it very clear. I mean, in our household, yeah, we're not going to cancel the Disney Plus subscription because there's other stuff. But if you've got Disney Plus literally just for Marvel, don't. Stop it. If you go out to every cinematic release, stop. The only way they understand what we want and what we don't want is by what we pay for, what we buy, what we go to. So don't do that. Do what you can to send the message that this is not acceptable. We need our characters to be serviced. We need them to be the characters that we know them as. We need it to stop being, let's set up the next 5 things. And stop having a writer whose main job is literally that. You could have got someone else to write this and just go, make sure you put Kang seeds in, if you will, or make sure there's enough here that Jeff can pick it up when he's writing the Kang Dynasty. That kind of thing. Not the guy who literally has the biggest motivation in the world to make sure that the big film that he's doing is set up for. I really should stop, because I could go on a rant for another 10 minutes, and I don't think we want to see that. So I will leave it there. Just thank you for letting me rant about this, and as always, until next time, take care. Ants.